Ottumwa School District held a statement and informational meeting at the Great Prairie AEA on January 2nd to talk about the performance results schools received right before winter break.
There's a lot of nuance in all of the data that comes out of the Iowa School Performance Profile, and taking some time to dig into the numbers I think is going to be very useful. There are actually a lot of positive things about the Ottumwa School District that we can find as we look at how students have been responding to instruction and how students feel about attending Ottumwa School District. So there's a lot of information that's in there that unfortunately isn't always the easiest to understand from a layman's perspective. But it is laid out that there's a lot of useful information. What's missing maybe is the comparative. As you look at how the data compares to all the school districts in the state, that'll give you a better kind of big picture of how the schools in Ottumwa did.
The meeting was hosted by Mike Steinsma, who is the Director of Student Supports.
So the purpose of why we're here today is to provide you with an opportunity to get some more information and background on the new ESSA report that we've just recently received. And so really that's what this is all about today. You know, there's a lot of nuances and differences between this and No Child Left Behind. And so we thought this would be a really good opportunity to just provide you with a really solid foundation of knowledge about what this is all about, so that as we move forward with stories, changes that we might be making, updates, and future reports, you know, you'll have that background.
Community Programs Director Kim Hellige was also there to assist.
I think Every Student Succeeds Act is a much better act than No Child Left Behind for a lot of reasons. One of the biggest reasons is No Child Left Behind was really heavy on emphasizing proficiency. It was a single threshold that kids had to either not be over or get over. And we didn't really attend to other things that were very important, like growth. There were students who maybe made an immense improvement from one year to the next, but didn't cross that proficiency threshold, and so there wasn't credit for that student and for the efforts that those students made in order to get that, to cover that kind of a distance. So ESSA is much more focused on growth than NCLB was. No Child Left Behind was really cut and dry, either kids met a cut point or didn't meet a cut point. ESSA also is attending to social, emotional, mental behavioral health. And that's a big deal. That's something that I don't think that we've attended to as a state as much as we could have. And so ESSA allocating some resources and supports to help with social emotional behavior is really a big deal, and it's a benefit for all of our schools.
ESSA, or Every Student Succeeds Act, replaced the No Child Left Behind Act in 2015. Steinsma broke down the ESSA results in order to better understand the problem.
So we have attendance center rankings. We've had attendance center rankings for a few years. Some of the differences on where they merge and how they're a little bit different. Our old law was No Child Left Behind. NCLB existed for a long time. It ended a couple years ago and was replaced by ESSA. Some of the fundamental differences, preschool, a middle school, or a high school, you'll have a percent proficient, average school achievement, and growth. Percent proficient is very much similar to how we've done proficiency in the past.
This makes understanding the solutions to the problems easier.
So here's an example of two hypothetical schools. Looked at how did the various subgroups do, that they had subgroups over 20. So what happens once you're identified as comprehensive or as targeted?
The issue with Ottumwa and surrounding schools was that the most popular subgroup that came up was students with disabilities.
Students with disabilities came up as a vulnerable population in a lot of schools across the state. And it's going to take a partnership between school districts and the AEA, I think, to really get to make sure that we're meeting the needs of all of our students, especially students with disabilities, so that we can accelerate their learning and help move them forward as much as possible.
Hellige, however, had a reminder for everyone.
And not to pick on small districts versus big districts, but you know, a lot of smaller districts don't have 20 students in, let's just use ELL. You know, and a lot of your larger districts in the state are going to have, you know, those numbers for those populations. So
yeah, so the opportunity to get identified as targeted does go up the more students you have.
The more students you have.
And you know, we want to have as many students as possible. So that's not an excuse. That just does put you more likely to be identified for those kinds of groups. Because if you have 19 ELL students in your building, you would never be identified as targeted for ELL because the population size isn't big enough.
Hellige and Stijmsma said the goal is to improve the subgroups as a whole, less so about helping each individual. For more information, go to the article with attached PDFs on our website at atomaradio.com or click on the link on our Facebook page. For Atoma Radio, I'm Erin Fraser.